Ford of Tuscola proudly presents two guys who will entertain you more than a three-ring circus, the Behind the Mic Show with Keith Gibson and Sam Erwin.
Welcome, everybody, to the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill. Your host each and every week, Keith Gibson, and my good friend, brother from another mother, Sam Erwin. Sammy, we passed Dirty 30 last week. We are on episode 31. We are getting older by the day. Christmas coming up, just a couple weeks away, and it's been a busy week and a busy last 2.5 months. Good Lord, can it slow down?
The most wonderful friggin' time of the year, isn't it? I mean, the magic of the year is upon us, traveling everywhere, and eat too much, spend too much, craziness, man, craziness. How was your weekend?
Busy, as usual.
Good.
Busy, but it was nice. Had some good family time, and I did get my nap in.
Good
got
for
my
you.
nap. Yeah, I got my nap. So it was good though. Quick.
Quick. Yeah.
So you went to St. Louis to see the lights. How was that?
Did. Yeah. St. Louis Zoo was fantastic. So if anybody wants to go see some cool lights, that was very cool indeed. Penguins were out. Saw a polar bear. They had a lot of the animals had called it a night by the time we got there, but the lights were amazing. It was a really cool experience. And gosh, what else? Oh, went to the Magic House.
Oh,
so to get the chance of that. Kendall, there may be a couple things she'd like, but I don't know if she's just quite big enough yet to really experience it in full effect. There are some things that I think would work for her, but that was cool. That was a neat place. We spent 3 hours at the Magic House. Time flies at the Magic House.
When you're having fun, apparently.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. And anytime you can keep a 6-year-old busy and kind of wear them out, that's always a plus. But so that was cool. And then as we came back from St. Louis, went through Lebanon, their park and the lights, which they did a good job. And then finished with Carlisle Park, which was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you want to see some lights, go through Carlisle Park. Very cool. Very cool.
You know what? I haven't been over that way forever.
You need to.
I haven't been to Carlisle I always remember driving through there, going to Fairview Heights in St. Louis as a kid about this time of year. And they always had lights around the lake, and then the whole town was lit up. And there's always that Hardee's there. Is that Hardee's still there?
Oh, God, yeah. Are you kidding?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. As you know, go to Carlisle, hang a right, go north a little bit, hang a left. That way you go to Lebanon. And then once you get to Lebanon, go down, south a little bit, then you get on 64. So that's just the best way to get to St. Clair.
That's right. We both made that trip a few times, I think.
I think we have, yes. But no, it was very cool. So that was a good weekend, a lot of fun. Enjoyed that. Got mother to go with, so she really enjoyed herself as well. And and then just back to the grind.
I hear you. We got a big show today, Sammy. A lot of things to talk about. A lot of controversial things to talk about today. We're going to hit it. I'm not going to say what I did last week, but how we're going to hit it, because you just let us know, everybody know how that goes. But we're going to take a quick break here from our presenting sponsor, Ford of Tuscola, and we're going to get right into it. That's what she said. We'll be back in a quick second here on the Behind the Mic Show.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small-town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at fordoftuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
This is Downtown Bosco, the world heavyweight champion. Drink your beer, eat your chicken, and listen to the Behind the Mic Show. And welcome back.
That's the world heavyweight champion, Downtown Bosco. Sammy, welcome us back to the Behind the Mic Show. And it's always good to hear from Downtown.
It doesn't get any better than that.
The world heavyweight champion. And if you forgot he was, he'll remind you.
Yes, he will. I'm the world heavyweight champion.
Hey, a lot of things happening, but one of the biggest stories in the country this week was Sports Illustrated, Sam, announced their Sports Person of the Year to a lot of controversy. Megan Rapinoe named Sports Person of the Year Women's World Cup winner with Team USA. Only the fourth woman to do it. Sammy, what's your take on this?
You know what? And as always, my trusty secretary, Linda, got me some stats, because I'm a busy man, Keith. I don't have time to sit and look all these things up. So Linda, once again, I got her fruit cake for Christmas. That's all she wanted. So, but she did get me. Thank you, Linda. Brought me the stats here. I've got it. So she was co-captain of the 2019 World Cup champion American team, co-captain. She also won the Golden Boot and the Golden Ball at the 2019 FIFA World Cup. So she was apparently, the best player there as well. So obviously, as we know in these awards and as we know with magazines and the media, Keith, why do they necessarily pick people because they're the best athlete there is or the best sports person, or is it more than that?
Oh, there's a lot more to that, Sam. Erwin, I'm glad you asked me that question, because let me tell you about this.
Okay.
This was done to sell magazines. Sports Illustrated is a dying breed of magazine. It's not what it once was. It's not what it is, because everything's gone digital.
Correct. That's right.
So they're not selling magazines. So how do you sell magazines? You create controversy. As Eric Bischoff once said, if you don't know who Eric Bischoff is, look him up. Controversy creates cash.
That's right.
And that's what 100%. They are doing. She's only the 4th woman to ever be named Sports Person of the Year. You want to know who the other 3 are? Because my intern, Brian Shrew. Yeah. My intern, Brian, has got me some stats as well. So the other 3 women to be named Sports Person of the Year. Chris Evert.
Okay.
Changed women's tennis.
Right.
Mary Decker.
Oh.
Serena Williams.
And Serena Williams. Ooh, good.
The only 4 other 3 women besides Rapinoe to be named Sports Person of the Year on their own. Now, there's been the Women's World Cup team has been named, and some groups of women have been named.
Right.
But not individuals. Do I think this was almost a publicity stunt? You can't take away how well the women played. Don't get me wrong. They were awesome in the World Cup.
Right.
Sam Erwin, was she the best sports person of the year, or did she just create enough controversy to sell magazines and make money?
Well, she definitely got the spotlight on her, that's for sure. But one thing that doesn't need to be downplayed is she's also an advocate for LGBT organizations.
Right.
She also preached and worked hard for equal pay for athletes,
which we have talked about on this show, which we agree with her on that.
Yes, we do. So she had the guts to stand up and do these things. She obviously is a homosexual herself. She's married to a woman. And so I think, along with being a phenomenal soccer player that she is, she was very outspoken, okay? She didn't mind the spotlight. In fact, it felt warm and she loved it. The more, bring it on. And she performed even when that spotlight was on her. She continued to excel, and she continued to say what was on her mind. And, if I am if I were like in your shoes, if I were a father of a young girl and I saw a woman do this on a world stage, not just a national stage, that preached about equality, that preached about not only pay, but how you treat somebody, whether they are gay, straight, black, brown, purple, green, whatever, it would be hard for me not to say, you know what, Kendall, watch this. Because down the road, if she's able to do something like that, how great would that be? So I think women need to have more of these opportunities to be able to stand up, because the bottom line is pay is not equal still. She's still fighting for that, and good for her. Good for her. And I noticed on when you put this controversy on the old page and the feedback we received, a lot of people didn't like this pick. Now, Keith, why do you think people didn't like this pick?
Well, we don't discuss a lot of them. We aren't going to get deep into it. I mean, we're just going to we don't do that on this show. But there's a lot of political behind it too, Sam Erwin.
Yes, there is.
No matter what side you're on, there's some political on it. But here's my thing with it. I have no issue with what she accomplished on the soccer field and that team. I think the whole team should have been actually, maybe with her in the spotlight, but I think that whole team should have been recognized and not just her.
Right.
That's my thoughts on it. And here's my reasoning behind it. And Brian, my intern, has done a great job with my notes, just like Linda does with yours. I haven't got Brian a gift yet, but a fruitcake's a good idea. Do you know, Sam Erwin, that the only 2 people ever to be named Sports Person of the Year more than once, who they are?
I would assume it's probably somebody like Muhammad Ali. Is just a guess. Maybe Tiger Woods.
You got 1 or 2. 1 or 2.
Oh, not bad. Not bad. Okay, so 1 or 2. Who did I get
Tiger
right?
in 96 and in 2000.
Okay.
And then your boy, LeBron James, in 12 and 16.
Ooh, okay.
Muhammad Ali was named Sportsperson of the Year once by Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
Who, if you look at it, Muhammad Ali was just as controversial.
Yes, he was.
Very
Yes,
outspoken. Michael Jordan was named Sportsperson of the Year one time.
Right.
The greatest who ever played the game of basketball was named Sportsperson of the Year one time, and that was in 1991.
So apparently this award that Sports Illustrated gets is not just about your on-the-field efforts, because there's so many great athletes. It's what you're doing off the field as well. So if she's bringing, putting a spotlight on equality, whether it be pay or how, homosexuals are treated or whatever, then that's a lot of it too. And, obviously why a lot of people don't like her is, one, she kneeled during the national anthem in an international match in 2016 to show support along with Colin Kaepernick. She also, of course, refused to visit the White House if they won. And that, of course, drew the ire of, the man who shall not be named on this show. And then they got into a Twitter beef back and forth, which was ever so impressive. But that's why a lot of people don't like her as well, is because the kneeling of national anthem, even though she's did it for, reasons, once again, as she talked about. In fact, Keith, Linda once again got this for me. So if we have time, I'll read this. This is a quote from her about that kneeling. She goes, "It was a little nod to Kaepernick and everything that he's standing for right now. I think it's actually pretty disgusting the way he was treated and the way that a lot of media has covered it and made it about something that it absolutely isn't," which you and I have talked about. As she says, "Being a gay American, I know what it means to look at the flag and not have it protect all of your liberties. It was something small that I could do and something that I plan to keep doing in the future and hopefully spark some meaningful conversation around it."
And it has.
Once again, and it has. And so it's things like that. She no longer kneels. I think she just stands in silence, doesn't put her hand over her heart, because I think the U.S. soccer team made a rule or something like that you did have to stand for the national anthem. Once again, we've talked about that. But she practices what she preaches. She backs up her speech with her phenomenal play. So I think that's a lot of it, that it's more than just what you do on the field. What are you doing to help people off the field as well? So she can further fuel that to get equal pay for women. If she can get equal treatment for LGBT organizations, then more power to her. So I have no issue with that. Was there somebody else that was maybe more deserving? Depends on who you are and what sport you follow and what that person did.
What I'd like to know is, and from Sports Illustrated, is this, and I don't think they'll ever come out. How do they pick?
Mm-hmm.
What's their criteria?
Right.
Is it just what they feel like doing?
Oh, I was going to say,
or is there criteria? Yeah. That's what I don't understand. How can you name J.J. Watt was, and the perfect point, J.J. Watt in 2017, thanks to my intern Brian here, he was named Sportsperson of the Year because he raised more than $37 million in relief aid. Not because of what he did on the field,
but
because of what he did off the field. Pat Summitt in 2011, rest in peace and God bless her soul, all-time winningest coach in NCAA basketball was named Sportsperson of the Year along with my Coach K that year. It's things like that, but they do things off the court too, not just on the court. So I just don't know where the criteria goes. Do I have any problem with this? From a strictly sports standpoint, none whatsoever. Because they were awesome to watch. I watched soccer, women's soccer, and I've never watched soccer, period.
Same.
Watched this. I watched the World Cup.
Yes, I did.
She was phenomenal. That whole team was phenomenal. It was fun to watch. And, there was maybe some controversy around it, and that's why we're sitting here talking about it today. But she also did raise some eyebrows and some eyes, and why aren't they getting the same pay the men are for a national team?
Right. And if you remember, when she refused to visit the White House, she's obviously not a Trump fan, okay? But Trump made a tweet that said, with all this going on, he said, "I'm a big fan of the American team and women's soccer, but Megan should win first before she talks, finish the job." So I watched just to see if she could shut him up, and by God, she did. And I laughed and laughed when they won. I was like, good for you. So then, and I think that's what it is name a bigger name that had all that going on during the past year.
None.
That won a World Cup, that brought light to these topics that people are talking about. And that's the thing that's why she's probably Sportsperson of the Year, because if it made a difference, then obviously she has earned that.
Right. And I have no problem with it for what she did on the field and the awareness she raised off. As far as political views go, I really don't care, because I think they're all full of crap. But anyway,
all absolute crooks and pieces of trash. Yes.
Yes. Anyway, moving on, Sammy. There was another big thing that happened just this last weekend from a company out in Salt Lake City.
Uh-huh.
And they had made enough money to give bonuses in the amount of $10 million between 198 of their employees and spread it throughout. And the more time you've been with the company, the higher your bonuses, and which I think was great.
Right.
The average bonus for an entry-level employee they had was $50,000, Sam.
I have no words.
So let's talk about this, Sam. Erwin, what happens when you take care of your employees? What are they?
You know what, Keith? I'm glad you brought that up because I have something that I seen on Facebook, and I wanted to share with you as you bring that up. And it says about employees staying, right? Staying loyal to the company, staying there, being productive, as as we've talked about. Employees stay when they are paid well, mentored, challenged, promoted, involved in decisions, appreciated. That's a big one. Valued. Where you feel like you matter, right? On a mission, empowered and trusted. So, Keith Gibson, my friend of many years, whenever you bust your ass for a company, apparently as they did because the company made a lot of money, right?
Yeah, 3.2 billion.
Yeah, good year.
Yeah.
So in an amount of that money, they turn around and they actually thank their employees by giving them, as you said, even for an entry level, $50,000. So let me ask you something, Keith. Do you think those employees fit in that range? You think they'll stay with that company now?
Yeah. I think they're going to be happy. They're going to be less stressed. They're going to work harder.
I was going to say, what do you think next year is going to be like for that company?
They're going to work harder because they aren't going to have the stress, have to worry about money. One guy said the bonus he got is going to pay off his house. He doesn't have to worry about making a mortgage payment anymore.
Right. So he can focus even more so on helping that company.
Right.
So it's an investment is what that company, one, it's a thank you, but it's also an investment because if you invest back in your people and appreciate them, then they're going to work even harder for you.
I will tell you this right now, Sam Erwin, and I've told you this many times. I work for a company now that has taken very good care of me. UC Bank takes care of their associates. They've taken very good care of me. I'm very proud to work there. I'm very happy to work there. I mean, there's stressful times. There isn't any job, but they also take care of associates to make sure their well-being. But I've also worked for companies where I've gotten a ham for Christmas.
Yeah.
I've seen my parents work for companies that they've got a turkey for Christmas.
Right. Yep.
You can't tell me that any business, most businesses, big businesses especially, factories, things like that, can't afford to give their employees some sort of bonus. The companies that don't give anybody a bonus or any sort of gratitude, there's issues there.
Yeah, there sure is.
If you get a bottle of wine and a Kroger gift card, Sam Erwin, you're probably not going to be very happy with the position you have.
You're right. I could only imagine those that happened to, and I wouldn't think that would be received very well.
Oh, I'm sure it's not.
It's not, especially things are and you see it all throughout the United States. There are these multi-billion-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies that, and this gets into a debate of people as well. I think Lee Johnson, who listens to the show, former teammate of mine, as you know, and we got into kind of a debate about this on Facebook of these multi-billion-dollar companies and how I think they don't take care of their employees very well. And here's my thing, Keith Gibson. I may be wrong. I may be right. Granted, somebody has to take the initiative to start these companies up. Somebody has to invest, into these companies to build them up. But these companies do not exist without the working man doing the job for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
So if the working man and woman, if we're out there busting our asses for you and making you this money, then you should be rewarded instead of giving a frigging Jelly of the Month club. That's not really going to go over real well, right?
It's a gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Yeah, the whole year out. Yeah, sure is. It sure is. So yeah, when you're wanting to put in a pool for the family, but you get a Jelly of the Month club card, doesn't really go over real well. So yeah, and that's like you said, Keith. if you know, like when I used to teach, okay, I always had an incentive for the kids. And even when I was a principal, there was incentives laid out. Give them something to work for, reward them. Then in turn, they trust you, and then they work for you going forward.
But
it
those
works
incentives,
like a charm every time.
those incentives, Sam Erwin, have to be attainable.
Yes, they do.
If you're an employer, you have to have incentives that can be reached.
Yes.
You know, if your incentives are so high that your employees know they can't get there,
right,
they're going to quit on you already.
Absolutely. Yes, they have to be attainable. 100%.
Right. Everybody needs goals, and that's part of what this conversation is. Right.
Smart goals.
You know, work smarter, not harder. But if you have something you can work towards, you're going to get more out of your employees. It's going to make things more fun. They're going to work a little harder and put that extra effort into if they know, I might be able to get a little something extra here.
Right.
That's my take on it. I don't like the companies that don't do anything for their employees because I think it's just a cheap cop out.
Yep. And, there's been some companies that will tell you, well, you get paid a good living wage for this. That's your reward.
Yeah, and so do they.
Yeah, and so do they. I was going to say, you mean those that are out there that are doing the actual work and then you sit in your office and you get paid for the work that people below you are actually doing? Yeah. Right. You know what? To those people, they can just keep their friggin' mouths shut as far as I'm concerned because they're not out there busting their ass. Like, yeah, and I know they've got, things that they got to do, but it gets to be a bit frustrating for a lot of people. And like, if you remember, whenever Trump did the tax cuts, a lot of corporations benefited mightily from that, right? And it was supposed to be, the intention was, the companies that saved that money, the money that they saved was supposed to trickle down to the workers. Guess how many companies did that?
Yeah, not a lot.
Not a lot. They took that money and bought stock back and reinvested in the company, and the workers saw none of it. So that happens too often. And then they wonder why the working class of the United States, a lot of people are pissed off most of the time.
Yeah, well, you know what? I would say that, it just take, really just take care of your employees. I mean, that's the bottom line. I thought it was amazing.
And it's a lost art. It's a lost art, Keith, because really, with the unemployment level is what it's at, a lot of people working right now, which is great, right? But how many people are happy in their job? How many people are appreciated? How many people are thanked? I told a lady today, actually, the job that I'm on, I have to call her from time to time to like if a customer wants to make a correction to an order or something like that, or we got to do something, I will call her. Very busy woman, very nice woman. And called her and she did it for me. And I said, you know what? I said, by the way, thanks for what you do. I said, you probably don't get thanked enough. I said, but I know we can be a pain in the ass, basically, doing these changes. I said, but and think she's got how many different salespeople that she has to work with, right? And I said, you know what? Just thank you. You do such a great job. And I said, if you don't get thanked enough, I said, I think it's a shame. And you know what? You can tell that meant a lot to her. And I thought, wonder how many times that actually happens where they go around and say, you know what? You're doing a great job. And that's the thing, Keith Gibson. It isn't necessarily money all the time. It could be a pat. It could be a pat on the friggin' back when you actually notice. Hey,
I like the butt better.
I do like the money, but I also
no. That's what I said. I like the butt. I like the pat on the butt.
Oh well, yeah. Who doesn't like
a little good game every once in a while?
right. But things like that, just being noticed, just being like it says, valued. That can go a long way. It doesn't take much, but it seems to be a lost art for sure.
Well, I will be the first, since we're talking about this, to say thank you to you and thank you to our listeners, because without them, we both know when we say thank you a lot to them, and the reason being is because we know if we don't have our listeners, there's two guys talking to each other on a weekly basis and putting it out there in dead air.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah,
which we probably still would do, but we appreciate our listeners. We appreciate them.
That's right. That's exactly right. So we are nothing without those that listen, just like the.
And like a business is nothing without its customers.
That's exactly, without its customers, without its workers. You're exactly right.
Right.
Yep. 100%.
So anyway. All right, let's take a quick break, Sammy. Come back, and we're going to get into the NFL 100 pick of running backs. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about there, Sammy.
Man.
We'll be right back on the Behind the Mic show here from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill.
This is Dr. Katie Burmeister with Back to Action Chiropractic in Flora and Salem. I have 20 years experience treating everything from injuries and accidents to pregnancy and pediatrics. We give you the care you need without inflating your bill with unnecessary therapies. We accept most insurances, so give us a call at 618-662-4828. Back to Action Chiropractic. No gimmicks, just good chiropractic.
This is Dr. Kate Burmeister from Back to Action Chiropractic. Welcome back to the Behind the Mic show at cheapseatsbar.com.
Thanks to Dr. Katie Burmeister for welcoming us back to the Behind the Mic show. Keith Gibson, Sam Erwin here, as we bring you another episode from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill. And Sammy, controversial topics in the first segment. We're going to get into a little bit more sports and some more controversy here in our second segment as we talk about the NFL 100 list. We're going to start position by position each week.
Okay.
And this week, you said you wanted to talk running backs, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I
Yes,
hope
sir.
Linda got some notes because my intern Brian got me some notes because
Okay,
this
yes.
list is nothing but hot garbage.
Oh, Linda handed me this. I about fired her because I thought this is fake news. There's no way this is real. But then I looked, and then I had to apologize. That's why she got the fruitcake. But as I'm looking down this, list, so apparently they had it down to 24. All right, and those that don't know, this is obviously season number 100 for the NFL. So they're looking back, just like baseball did several years ago. Whenever they had, obviously, I remember when Griffey was the only current player that actually got on. What was that, 75 years or something
Yeah,
like that?
I think so.
Yeah. So they're looking back to 100 years, and they broke it down by position. They got it down to 24, and now these are the final 12. So out of 100 years, these are the top 12. So we have Jim Brown. That's a no-brainer. I got no problem with that. Earl Campbell. I have no problem with that. Dutch Clark. Keith Gibson, Dutch Clark. Sounds like a guy that owns a deli, in the middle of town or something. Rushed for 2,772 yards and 42 touchdowns. That's one of their top 12 of all time. I've never heard of the guy before I saw that list. Dutch Clark. You ever heard of Dutch Clark?
Sammy, he was born in 1906.
Right. Right.
Only played until 1938.
Uh-huh.
He had 42 touchdowns in career, 72 extra points, and 10 field goals.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
good for him. Could kick a little bit, right?
Yeah. Two-way guy. If you want to consider that two-way.
Yeah, and maybe during his era, he was probably good. That's great. But 27, when you look at we'll have some numbers later of people and some names that were left off this list. It's just like, how does this happen? How do they pick these people? So anyway, we'll come back to that.
No,
right, so
Dutch. Let's talk about old Dutchy here.
I just don't understand.
2,700 yards rushing, and you're one of the greatest 100 of all time?
Right. That's 2 seasons for everybody else. You eclipsed 2,700 yards in 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's an awful pick.
Yeah,
awful.
I don't get it. All right. Eric Dickerson, I have no issue with that. He was phenomenal. Lenny Moore, who had 5,000 yards rushing, 6,000 yards receiving, and 111 touchdowns. No issue there. Marion Motley, I've heard the name. Stats, 4,720 yards rushing, 39 touchdowns for his career. He's one of the top 12 of all time. Marion Motley. Your thoughts?
4,000 rushing yards, Sam Erwin.
Yeah.
828 carries, okay?
Right.
Okay, yeah. He played 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
He only caught 85 passes for 234 yards. 9 years.
How many rushing attempts did you say he had?
828 carries.
Okay. All right.
He was a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Okay.
Not even an All-Pro.
Not even an All-Pro.
No.
So I don't understand.
He was a now he was a 4-time AAFC champion.
Okay.
Okay. We're talking he played in 46 through 53 and in 55.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, this pick is awful.
Awful. Truly, truly awful.
Hot garbage.
Garbage. I just don't understand it.
When are we wrong? I mean, fine. Yeah. Maybe he was a great running back in his day, maybe, but there's no numbers to make him one of the top 100.
No, I looked at that and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So moving down the list here. Oh, hang on.
Well, I'll follow your list. Walter Payton.
Okay, obviously, no issue there.
No.
Barry Sanders, of course. Gale Sayers, no issue there. Phenomenal. Even though his career was cut short due to injury, but still phenomenal. O.J. Simpson, okay.
Yeah, no problem there.
No problem there, even though he's killed 2 people. But whatever. It's about their career.
The glove don't fit. You must have quit.
Allegedly. Emmitt Smith, of course, all-time leading rusher. No issue there. And then Steve Van Buren of the Van Buren boys from the famous Seinfeld episode, 5,860 yards rushing over an entire career, 69 touchdowns. Steve Van Buren.
Sam, he only surpassed 1,000 yards twice in a career in 7 years.
Right. I don't. I've never known you to be tongue-tied and just not have the words to really. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Again, but I don't know. I mean, it just no sense. So here are some running backs. So that's the list.
Right.
So
that's your top 100 running backs of all time.
That top 12 right there. So now let's talk about some snubs if we could. These people were left off. So it looks like from the year 2000. Now there's still some that were even in the 70s that were left off. That played during that time, 70s, 80s that were left off. But it looked like on this list, if you played from the year 2000 on, they just forgot about you somehow. So the recent guys are like, makes no sense, even though their stats are way beyond many of these guys. Marshall Falk left off.
Yeah. Marcus Allen
left off.
Sam, he was a Super Bowl MVP, an NFL MVP, a 2-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler.
Yep.
12,000 yards.
Yes.
145 touchdowns.
145 touchdowns, and we leave him off. Marcus Allen, Marshall Falk, LaDainian Tomlinson. Guy had 28 touchdowns in one season. I mean, and a phenomenal career. LaDainian Tomlinson, Adrian Peterson, who's still playing, phenomenal running back. Curtis Martin, you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
From the Patriots, Jets. Great. Tony frigging Dorsett of the Dallas Cowboys. How great was he? But we're going to leave him off. So we'll leave him off. John Riggins from the Redskins. Loved watching him play. Left him off. Jerome Bettis, Steelers. Won titles. Had the stats. We're going to leave him off. Franco Harris. Remember him from Steeler fame in the 70s? Yeah.
That one I'd be
Well, I mean, a lot of success. Let's see. Who else? Thurman Thomas, Buffalo Bills. We're just going to leave him off. We don't need him. So I don't know.
What about Red Grange?
Okay, yeah.
Galloping Ghost.
Grange. Right. We'll leave him off. Jim Taylor, the Packers. Remember that name back with Dark Star and all that? Yeah. Phenomenal running back. And there's many others we leave off. So I'm like, how? And many of these I get. But those three that we are confused, Dutch, Clark, Marion, Motley, Stephen, how do those three make it when you have all of these that are far better running backs? It just makes no sense. So I would love to be able to talk to whoever made this list and say, how did you pick these guys like Dutch Clark with a whopping 2,000 yards rushing? I just don't get it. I mean, I don't understand. And maybe they could have done, instead of just trying to knock it down to 12 over 100 years, do like the top 10 from each decade or something like that, to where it makes more sense, because this makes no sense.
Sam, Marcus Allen was the first player in NFL history to rush for 10,000 plus yards and catch passes for 5,000 more.
Wow.
82
Incredible.
Rookie of the Year, an MVP, a Heisman Trophy winner, All-Pro. I mean, how do you leave him off and you put old Dutchy on the list?
I don't know. It boggles the mind for sure. So,
and I know Cowboy fans, I usually dog on the Cowboys just because it's fun. Because everybody likes the Cowboys and I like dogging on them. But Tony Dorsett,
right.
You're going to leave Tony Dorsett off this list?
Yeah, right. Tony Dorsett. I mean, what an incredible athlete. And like Franco Harris that you said was like, Now, mind you, they won 4 titles. He was there.
Right.
12,000 yards rushing, 91 touchdowns. I mean, good God, man. He did it all. So
he was Offensive Rookie of the Year, Super Bowl MVP. I just don't. And instead, you're going to put in Dutchy.
Old Dutchy boy. So I don't know if Dutch has like family members that paid this pick or what. They felt bad for old Dutchy, or I don't know. But I've never heard of Dutch Clark in my life.
There's a name you left off of the semifinalist from here. I think you did anyway. I didn't hear you say it. But I want your thoughts on this one.
Okay.
Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
I would say he's one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yes. I did mention him earlier that he was left off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's played. I mean, good Lord, has he played for? But this man has almost 15,000 yards rushing, 112 touchdowns, and just, God, it's just incredible. The season he's had, he was let's see, Pro Bowl 1, 2, 3, 4,
7 times.
5, 6, 7 times. First team All Pro 4 times.
Right.
Had a 2,000-yard season back in 2012 with Minnesota.
Right.
A 1,500-yard season, an 1,800-yard season. I mean, he almost had more yards. He almost had more yards in one season old Dutchie had in a career.
Right. That's my point.
So let's leave him off. I mean, it just I don't get it, man. I just don't. Nothing makes sense on that. But yeah, Adrian Peterson, I've loved watching him play football. And he is by far better than those 3 that we talked about. So I don't know, man.
We want our listeners' feedback too. Who are snubs that you think should have been on the list of the top 100, and who should have been maybe left off, like Dutchie, old Dutchie Clark. A little irritated that Dutchie made the list. Nobody can tell. But you made some great points. Thurman Thomas, he went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yes,
16,000 all-purpose yards.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the number 1 pick, but he rushed for 1,000 yards in 8 straight seasons.
Yeah, that's hard to do for sure. Yeah,
I mean, LaDainian, these names are just—it's like, what are we doing? Oh, and I've already looked up some of the other positions, Sam. We're going to cover in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The intern Brian has done a great job getting me notes already.
He's already earned his keep.
He is. We'll see how long that stays. He better rock the baby and kiss the wife goodnight or something. I don't know.
And Marshall Falk, as we close out here, Marshall Falk, 12,279 yards rushing, okay, and then receiving 6,875. He almost had 20,000 yards total in his career. I mean, an all-purpose back if there ever was one. He had 136 touchdowns. You leave that guy off. I mean, there's no way that old Dutchie boy or Marion Motley or Steve Van Buren of the Van Buren boys is better than Marshall friggin' Falk. I mean, come on. It's like, did we just stop watching tape? Is that what the NFL 100 did? You wanted to honor some really old guys that nobody's ever heard of? I don't know. I'm upset, and I don't like it, Keith.
I'm right with you.
I don't like it. It's disrespectful.
Marshall Falk changed the game.
Yes, he did.
By being a pass-catching running back who made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Sanders, I think, is one of the most elusive back you'll ever see, but Marshall Falk changed the game on how running backs are now used in the NFL, and how he's 100%. Not on this list is but
it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
It is.
Yes.
But moving on.
All right.
Hey, Sammy, we got another hot topic with the NFL. Of course, it's every week there's a hot topic with the NFL because it's a no fun league. And Roger Goodell couldn't manage my underwear, which is hard to do sometimes, trust me.
I was going to say, the holiest of holies.
No, I get new ones every once in a while, Christmas.
Right.
Michael Vick was named a honorary Pro Bowl captain, and there's a lot of controversy. We told you there'd be controversy on this show, and it's full of it.
Boy, it's nothing but.
Yeah. Was named Pro Bowl captain this year as an honoree, and a lot of negative feedback from that.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But I want to know where you stand on, is it okay for him to come back and be part of the NFL?
Mm-hmm. Well, Keith Gibson, boy, I tell you what, this is now, let me start by saying I don't agree with anything he did. The cruelty to animals that he did, the dog fighting, and then, of course, what he did to the dogs that did lose, just awful. Truly awful, of what he did. And did he deserve the punishment that he got? 100%. Absolutely. Yes, he did. But there's a lot of people in an uproar. And this is, once again, like you said, Roger Goodell, it's like, maybe you just don't pick this guy. There's plenty of other ex-NFL players that you could pick that don't have this. You've had thousands of players come through the league. Why would you pick Michael Vick? But in saying that, the man spent 548 days behind bars for what he did to these dogs. Okay, and that was many years ago now. How long does a man have to pay for his mistakes before we finally say, you know what, he learned his lesson? He's maybe a changed man. Maybe he's trying to do some good now. Is he doing things to basically help animals now and try to curb that dog fighting that's going on? I don't know 100% if he's doing that. I think I read something that he's working with organizations to try to eliminate that. but he spent his time. So how long is he to pay for that, Keith Gibson?
Well, I will agree with you on a couple things that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
He served his time. Do I agree with what he did? By no means, no. No, it was awful. It was cruel. But the court system, he went to jail. He did it. He did his time. I don't blame anybody for this, Sam Erwin, but Roger freaking Goodell.
Right.
You have all these great quarterbacks who have a great image, and the NFL's not got the greatest image in the whole wide world right now. Thank you, Antonio Brown. So you're going to go out and you're going to choose Michael Vick to be an honorary captain after all the backlash he had in the NFL for you?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a problem with Michael Vick? No, you're right. He served his time. He's paid his dues. The guy was a great football player. What he did off the field wasn't great, but what he did on the field was. Then there may never be another quarterback, I think, like him.
Right.
We may be seeing a Lamar Jackson, but it's pretty close. But
right.
But anyway, I agree with you. He served his time. I have no issues with it. But at the same time, if you're Michael Vick, why are you accepting this? Why are you –
what?
There's going to be controversy. There's going to be people on both sides of the fence. You've laid low for how long? Why do it? I'm not blaming him for doing it. I mean, maybe he wants to be back around the game, wants to teach, fine. This shouldn't be an issue because, first of all, he shouldn't even be there, not because of what he did. Because if you're the NFL, you don't want that image, and that's the image you're creating for your league, which tells me you're making way too much money and don't really think about things or think about what the business you're in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my thoughts, Sam Erwin.
Right.
This is just an infuriating segment between Dutchie and now Michael Vick. I don't know what Roger Goodell.
Well, and since, his prison sentence, now many people will say, had he never got caught, would he still be doing the dog fighting? That's a good question.
Well, that's a great question.
A lot of people do bad things. Then when they get caught, they get rehabilitated. That's hopefully when you go to prison, you learn from your mistakes and you come out a better person. That's the hope. Does that always happen? Not always. A lot of people go back doing what they're doing. He has not. In fact, he's worked to stop dog fighting and get the Animal Fighting Spectator Prohibition Act passed in Congress. He also, let's see, what else? He also works with the Humane Society. Things like that he's doing now to maybe try to make amends, and like, for instance, this is an incredible quote, but People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, Senior Vice President Lisa Lang said in a statement, as long as he's throwing a football and not electrocuting a dog, PETA is pleased he is focused on his game. Why would you make a quote like that? It's like, are you for real? Maybe just not say anything. But anyway, so, the thing of it is if he's trying to do better, if he's made amends, if he served his time, he served his punishment, then, sometimes you got to let those things go. It's awful. 100% what he did was truly awful. But there's a lot of people who've done a lot of bad things, and they come out better on the other side. Do we always punish them, for the rest of our lives? Of they're these terrible people?
No, and that's where to me, I really don't give two flying cares whether he's there or not, because I don't watch the Pro Bowl. I think it's awful.
I was going to say, who watches the Pro Bowl anyway? Why is it a big deal? Nobody even watches that game. So I don't.
There was petitions going around to stop him from being at the Pro Bowl, and 283,000 people signed it.
Right.
Okay. Great. But who cares about the Pro Bowl? Most guys don't play in it anyway. It's the next three guys down.
Right. Yeah. And of course, it's not about the Pro Bowl. It's obviously about him and what he did in his past.
Right.
And it's amazing to me. And we saw some feedback on this too, that's why I love whenever you put these things on Facebook, just to read the feedback, is some people, how they choose, the ways that they choose their anger of certain people that they have problems with and certain people they don't, that do terrible things as well, but they have no issue with that. So it's just amazing how people get mad at certain things, but other things, but that's just human nature.
Right.
If you really care about animals, then you're not a big fan of Michael Vick. I really like animals too. Do I think Michael Vick should continue to pay for what he did? I think he's done his time. If you spent damn near 2 years in prison for it, what more do you need the guy to do? He's working with PETA. He's working with Humane Society. He's trying to make amends. So at some point, Keith, we have a lot of religious people too out there. At some point, do you stop judging the man and maybe start that forgiveness thing that they always talk about, or do you just continue to beat the man, while he's down? So,
that's a great. That's one of the smartest things you've said in a long time. I'm pretty proud of you.
From time to time, there's flashes.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I still blame Roger Goodell for all this.
Yeah, and once again, like we said at the start, I mean, maybe Roger's looking at that as this guy has done this, and maybe can shed some light on, looking that way. Maybe Michael Vick can talk to some of these NFL guys that were raised in that type of society about how this is terrible, and maybe he can work with some of those guys because it's still out there. People are still doing the dog fighting thing. That's never going away. There's nothing you can do about it. I think it's terrible. And we had pit bulls when I was a kid. We didn't have them fighting, but it was just awful. It's awful to see, and it's a terrible thing, and you hope that it would go away, but it's not going to. But if you have people that have been in that and now they're trying to stop it, then I say support the guy in his efforts to try to limit it.
Can't we all just get along?
Apparently not. Not in this society.
Hey, other news in the NFL, Tom Brady loses again.
I tell you what.
Sammy, I watched that game.
He did not look good.
He does not have many receivers that he's on wavelength with. The offense did not look good. And besides when he scampered for that first down late in the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I should have got a stopwatch out or
never been known for the speed.
No.
But you are effective. You're effectively watching a dynasty crumble right in front of your very eyes. It's coming to an end. Also, the Patriots just got caught again filming things of all teams. The Cincinnati friggin' Bengals. Why would you film? Are they still unwinning?
They're awful.
I wanted to say undefeated, but they're the opposite, so they haven't won a game.
They won last week, but still, they're not good.
They did. Oh boy. So maybe they want to pick up something. But, supposedly there's 8 minutes of footage where they had taped their offensive play calling again or something like that. And so the Patriots are back at it, which means the Patriots are scared and freaked out that it's ending, and how can we get better real quick? And, but nothing will happen to them like before. So, what's it matter?
Yeah, it's but Tom Brady looked very, very old, that Patriots offense. Now, mind you, though, and it was a good point. I was watching Sports Center on Monday morning before I went to work. Mm-hmm. They're 10-3. Everybody's acting like they're like 3-10. They're still 10-3, but they haven't beat a good team yet.
No, they have not. No.
So, other news out there, Odell Beckham Jr. says he wants out of Cleveland already.
Shocker. Yeah.
That didn't last long. Spoiled brat.
Nope. Yep.
But
Baker Mayfield's throwing the treatment staff under the bus the way they handled Odell. So he's trying to kiss his butt to get him to stay. But Odell is not staying in Cleveland. Odell likes the spotlight. Odell likes the me, and he's not getting that in Cleveland. So he will bolt just as soon as he possibly can.
Why would you expect to get it? It's Cleveland.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So he's gone.
Has nobody ever watched Major League? Has no athletes ever watched Major League? Jiminy Christmas. Playoff teams. Packers got the NFC North right now. Vikings in the playoff hunt. Bears outside looking in, Sammy, but have looked good here the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they kind of turned some things around.
My God, I believe they beat the Cowboys last Thursday.
Boy, they sure did. How does Jason Garrett keep a job at this point? I don't get. They're leading the division too at 6-7. The Cowboys are, and I saw where they said if the playoff pairings happened right now, Seattle would have to go to Dallas and play. Seattle is like 11-2, 10-3, something like that, and they have to go to Dallas, who is 6-7, just because they lead their terrible division. They have to play at Dallas. That makes no sense. The NFL needs to change that too.
Yes,
they need to change that too.
They need to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, I was happy that I'm not sure Coach Brian Tackett was very happy about that because he didn't respond to the Facebook meme I put on our Facebook page.
That's odd.
yeah. I don't know what happened there, but this week will determine a lot of playoff pictures and a lot of things going on in the NFL, and I like playoff football. Mm-hmm. Who's your pick to win the AFC?
Ooh, it would be hard not to pick the Ravens at this point, wouldn't it? I think it may come down to Ravens-Chiefs, which would be a phenomenal between, my God, Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Boy, wouldn't that be fun to watch?
Yes,
it would.
AFC
championship game. And I really, NFC-wise, I mean, I don't know if there's any NFC team out there that can play with either one of those right now. Besides maybe the Niners, 49ers look really good right now.
Saints gave 'em a run Sunday. That was a great game.
Well, that was a great game.
5 touchdowns again, and
Jimmy G tearing it up, baby.
I'm going to tell you who I like. I like it coming down to the Chiefs and Ravens in the AFC. And you're going to think I'm crazy here. I like Niners, Packers in the NFC.
Ooh. Hey, Packers are still doing well. As long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
Aaron Rodgers has stayed healthy, and come playoff time, you never know what he'll do. But
and if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, you've always got a chance. That's how
exactly
good he is. You've always got a chance.
We'll find out here soon as they wind down their season. But we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsor, Lisa Ehrbacher, and about her auto insurance and what she can do for you. So if you're needing auto insurance or feel like you're paying too much, call Lisa and get a quote from her. She'll love to hear from you. We'll take a quick break. We're right back here on the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill. Accidents happen. When they do, having the right auto insurance can make a big difference. For a free quote and to ensure you are not stranded, call your local Country Financial agent Lisa Ehrbacher today at 618-662-3344. When accidents happen, Country Financial is there to help. Back here on the Behind the Mic Show, Keith Gibson, Sam Erwin, and Sammy. Last week was championship week. I thought we'd see an upset from Virginia, and boy, was I wrong. Clemson looked pretty good. Of course, they're playing Virginia, which was number 23 team in the country.
Right. ACC is not a real strong conference, as we've come to find out.
No.
Right.
LSU looked good.
Oh, boy, did they. Yeah.
Beat up on Georgia, knocked them out of the college football playoff.
Which makes me happy.
I know it does.
So happy.
I know. And then Ohio State struggled for a while against Wisconsin. Wisconsin came to play last Saturday, but they eventually got the win.
Right.
So the college football playoffs come out, the top 4, and LSU back where they belong at number 1.
Right. Ohio State number 2.
Correct. Clemson 3, all at 13-0, and then you have the Oklahoma Sooners who come in at number 4 after beating Baylor.
Right. And I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with that. Do you?
No, not at all. Because I kind of figured that would happen. As long as they beat Baylor, I figured that would happen. Your Gators didn't get any love, though. No love.
Nope. Going to the Orange Bowl, going to take on that mighty Virginia team. So we'll see if Florida even cares if they come to play. But I mean, hey, it's a New Year's Six Bowl, so we'll take that. But in looking at that, so we got those top 4. I don't see in any way, shape, or form LSU gets challenged at all in that 4. I think they'll beat Oklahoma pretty easily. I mean, Oklahoma may get. I tell you what, I take that back. I think you're going to see a shootout in that game.
I really do,
because LSU's defense is not what it normally is, and of course Oklahoma can score with Jalen Hurts back there. So I think you may see a game like 50-48. Something like that. It'll be a fun-ass game to watch, that's for sure.
Correct. I think Ohio State Clemson will actually be a fun game to watch, too. I think
that'll be.
Yeah. I think you have 4 good teams and 2 good matchups for the semis, which LSU and Oklahoma will play in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, and then Ohio State and Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl on December 28th, both games. So I'm sure you and I will be tuned in that night. But here's what's interesting, Sam. The national championship is in New Orleans.
Oh, interesting. That works out great for LSU, doesn't it?
They are 4-1 in bowl games in New Orleans. Their last game they played was against Alabama. They lost. Speaking of Alabama, Sammy, not in the playoff for the first time.
No. They played a weak schedule and did not do well with that weak schedule. And are we seeing a dynasty come to an end there as well, Keith Gibson? Is Alabama?
Oh, you know dang well, Sam, when they're going to refeed.
Well, here's the thing. They've been recruiting well still, but doesn't it seem like Alabama's just not like the Alabama of a few years ago?
Yeah, yes.
They don't seem to have that dominance. Clemson's definitely not scared of them. LSU now granted, once Burrow goes away, well, guess what? LSU's starting over. Who's your quarterback now? Granted, they've got a lot of talent too, but Joe Burrow, boy, has he been phenomenal. So we will see if LSU can reload and continue to dominate next year. Yes, will Alabama be back? Yes. But Alabama needs to get back to the old Alabama ways. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
Sammy, Alabama's not even in the top 6 bowls.
No, they're not. Nope, they dropped considerably. Yes.
I mean, in the Sugar Bowl, you've got Baylor and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Right.
In the Rose Bowl, you have Wisconsin, Oregon.
Uh-huh.
Who cares?
Who cares, right?
The Orange Bowl, you got Virginia, Florida.
Watch your mouth.
Who cares? And then you have the Cotton Bowl, you got Penn State and Memphis. Memphis 12-1. Yeah. So
Yay.
Yay, yeah. So those 4 right there. I mean, I'll probably tune in, but not like I normally would. I just, I'll probably catch a little bit of your Gator game, But not the Rose Bowl, which I usually like to watch. Wisconsin, Oregon doesn't excite me. Wisconsin just doesn't excite me for anything.
They are not an exciting team. No, they're an old school 3 yards in a cloud of dust till Taylor finally breaks one, and that's about how that goes. So
yeah, I think Baylor, Georgia could be a decent game. Penn State, Memphis, I can't stand watching Penn State either. Let's talk about some other ones, though. Some other matchups I thought were interesting. Let me see. Minnesota, Auburn in the Outback Bowl on New Year's Day. I think that'll be a good game. Did you see Auburn fired their offensive coordinator today or on Monday?
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Citrus Bowl, Michigan and Alabama. 2 of our favorite programs here on this show playing each other.
Well, we're going to see if Alabama cares, or Michigan. And that's the thing, man, with these bowls. I guess it's okay, but at the same time, a lot of these players just don't care, and I get it. If you're not playing for a national title, then what's the point?
Right.
I guess it's just the experience, but it gets the school some money. So,
Sam, tell me how this happened. In the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas on December 31st at 2 p.m., Arizona State plays the Seminoles of Florida State. How did Florida State get in a bowl?
Oh, good question. I mean, they just terrible. But they do have a new coach coming in. In fact, it's Memphis's coach. He's coming in, going to take over, so we'll see if he can make a difference. I'm not real sure that he can, but yeah, Florida State made it. Miami even made one. So
I saw that. Notre Dame too, 10-2, and Notre Dame plays 7-5 Iowa State in the CampingWorld.com Bowl.
Oh, is that in Orlando?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but the big news: Illinois did 6-6, which if you'd asked me in week 4 if they'd have got there, no way in heck.
But boy, what a crash landing! What a crash landing at the end of that season.
Yeah, but they're in. They're in.
Yeah, they're in. That's right.
In the Red Box Bowl in Santa Clara, California, on December 30th against Cal. So I'll tune into that one. I'll watch the Illini. They'll get smoked, but I'll tune in.
Maybe. Never know.
Well, that's true.
Depends what Illinois team shows up.
The game. Here's the game I'm anxious to watch. Actually, on December 27th in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego. Iowa versus USC. I think that will be a fun game to watch.
I think it will. Yeah, definitely a tale of 2 different types of teams right there. I think USC's – did they fire their coach yet or not?
I don't believe so.
Ooh, well, that may be his last game. They're going to be looking for somebody else. But you're going to see a lot of coaches moving around here shortly because it's crazy. Well, in fact, a lot of them should already be because there's early signing periods now and all that jazz. So we'll see what happens.
A lot of bowls, though, Sam. It doesn't take a whole lot to get in a bowl anymore.
No, too many.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of 7-5, 6-6 teams like Utah State versus Kent State. Why?
Right.
Necessarily.
Right.
Georgia Southern versus Liberty. Is it necessary?
Right.
Here's one for you.
You see it as well. The stadium is not full. People don't go. Some schools ends up costing them money to actually go because they don't sell their allotment of tickets. So it's like,
Here you go.
But
SMU at 10-2 plays FAU, Florida Atlantic University.
Go out.
3 on December 21st in the Boca Raton Bowl.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of
fun. So you have 2 10-win teams playing on December 21st.
Right. Why not put those later since they're both 10-win teams?
Right. Boise State 12-1 playing the same day, playing Washington. Appalachian State playing UAB, which I hope they smoke UAB. But they're 12-1 playing the same day. I'm sorry, if you're 6-6, you should be playing early, not the first games of the year.
I was going to say, shouldn't it be a build like have the bad teams up first and and then build to the better teams, and then you have the culmination at the end with the championship teams?
Yeah,
one would think.
I don't get it. But there's way too many bowls, Sam Erwin. But that just, speaking of bowls, before the bowl season gets underway, the Heisman Trophy will be presented in New York.
This Saturday. That's right.
That's correct, sir. The finalists. Did you see the finalists that I put
did.
on Facebook?
Yes, I did. And we talked about this a little bit last week, I believe. We talked about before the championship games. That's whenever a lot of votes get decided how they do. But, yes, Joe Burrow from LSU, Justin Fields from Ohio State, both quarterbacks. Chase Young, the only defensive player for Ohio State defensive end for Ohio State. And Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Oklahoma. So in those championship games, Keith, once again, Linda, can I have that? Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Linda, once again, coming through. So Burrow in the champ. Well, she always is.
That's what she said.
Be careful there. All right. So in the championship game against Georgia, which has a great defense, threw for 349 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he also was the second leading rusher. He set the single-season SEC touchdown pass record and the passing yards record. Beat out Tim Couch. Remember that name?
I do. Kentucky.
So
he wore number 2.
Number 2, that's right. So an incredible year for Joe Burrow in the SEC. Justin Fields in the championship game had 299 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, played great once again. Chase Young didn't really do too much. Had a couple quarterback pressure, 6 tackles. But if you're going to be a defender, you got to totally dominate when all the eyes are on you, and he didn't. Nothing against him, great season, but right then definitely eliminated him. And then finally, Jalen Hurts, 287 yards and a touchdown in the Big 12 championship game. So that pretty much eliminated him too. So basically, as far as I can tell, it comes down to 2, Joe Burrow and Justin Fields. Your thoughts?
I don't even know if it comes down to 2, Sammy.
Yeah, I think it's probably Joe Burrow's. That's just my guess.
You might as well just nobody else might as well show up, because if he doesn't win it,
right.
He's the best player in college football. He showed it against a Georgia team in the SEC championship. He's shown it all year long. He'll
be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Right. They're the reason they're number 1 in college football. It's Joe Burrow. I mean, hands down. I don't think either of us will disagree with that.
No.
We did get some feedback on Facebook, though, for Chuba Hubbard out of Oklahoma State. Some people thought he should be a finalist tonight. You know what? I really can't disagree with him.
I can't either. He almost had 2,000 yards rushing. He easily won the rushing title, and then didn't even get invited, to the – I mean, big deal inviting. Big deal. Gives Oklahoma State a little press, And,
well, here's my thing.
Nice.
Here's my thing with the finalist. It's either got to be Young or Fields from Ohio State. You can't have both.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
One or the other, but you can't have both.
Right. Yeah, there's no way. And that shows you how good Ohio State is when you have 2 Heisman finalists. Has that ever happened before? Where the
I don't
same
know.
team sent
I don't
2
really
guys?
try to pay attention to Ohio State.
Well, I don't think that's happened before. So,
they're better in Michigan, but I don't like them either.
Yeah. Good God. Yeah, they are by far better than Michigan.
I said that.
But yeah,
Caleb,
so I think
I know
Joe
you're
Burrow,
listening.
Now let me ask you this, Keith Gibson. Joe Burrow, phenomenal year, of course. Will more than likely be the first pick in the draft. I don't see why he wouldn't be, especially so many NFL teams need a quarterback. But if you're an NFL executive, do you take a quarterback that early?
No.
With what you've seen this year.
No.
I don't either. No, I don't either. Because if your team sucks anyway, you need a lot more in a quarterback. And if you don't have a line, if you don't have a defense, you got to build inside out. Because even if you got a great line, even an average quarterback or running back can look pretty damn good. But if you don't, that great quarterback's going to look like crap real quick and get injured.
Let's talk about this. Where have the good quarterbacks who've been drafted recently? Where they've been drafted? Not number 1.
Nope.
Not number 2. Mitchell Trubisky.
Later on in the first round.
Right. Later on in the first round, second round, third round. I don't think
for a year maybe. Learn from a veteran.
Right. Did Aaron Rodgers play his first year, Sam Erwin?
He didn't play for several years behind Brett Favre.
Right. Did Carson Palmer play his first year, Sam Erwin?
He did not. No. Let me ask you this. Kyler Murray. I believe he won the Heisman last year. How's he doing this year?
Who?
Right. So he's playing on a terrible Arizona team, and he's getting the piss beat out of him. And I feel bad for the kids because so much is expected on them when they're picked that high, and then nothing happens. So it takes a while, and you hope they build a team around him. But man, I'm just more of a, I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Kyler Murray didn't impress me anyway. I thought he's too short, and he's not an NFL quarterback to me.
And Baker's had a rough year,
right?
This year.
Yeah.
Cleveland's kind of turned it around a little bit, but I don't know if he's going to make it or not.
You're getting more out of your running backs here recently out of college football than you are your quarterbacks.
That's true. Very true. Yes, sir.
And your wide receivers. So
That's right.
And mainly defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think Burrow wins the Heisman Saturday night. And so before we end the segment here, I want your picks.
Okay.
I want Clemson, Ohio State. Who are you going to take?
Oh boy. You know what? To be the man, you got to beat the man. So I'm going to go with Clemson because they won the title last year and they've still got a phenomenal quarterback. Ohio State's great, but I still think Clemson, for some reason, with Dabo Swinney, he's been there many times as a coach. Ohio State's got a rookie head coach coming into that big environment, and I could see Clemson winning that.
I after watching Clemson last week, of course they played Virginia. That's not Ohio State.
Right. Plus, Ohio State has kind of struggled 2 out of 3 weeks. They beat up on Michigan, but that game against Wisconsin was not pretty.
No, it was not. I will take Wisconsin in a tight one. Or, excuse me, Ohio State in a tight one.
Okay.
I think it'll be close. I think there'll be some numbers put up, but I think it'll be tight, but I'll take Ohio State. So LSU and Oklahoma.
LSU.
Okay. And I will agree with you, and I think it's a blowout.
Yeah.
As much as
I think it's going to be high scoring.
I think but I think LSU is just too much. It's either here's what's going to happen: either it's going to be an LSU blowout, or it's going to come down to the final 20 seconds.
Right. Mm-hmm. Back forth. Whoever's got the ball last. Yep.
Okay. So national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your pick?
LSU versus Clemson. I got to go LSU.
I will take LSU as well. I don't see anybody. There's not a team in college football. I mean, anybody can beat anybody on any given night, but I just don't see anybody beating LSU this year.
I just can't see it. No, unless they do something to Joe. If Joe Burrow gets hurt or they find a way to – nobody has contained him at all, the entire year. He's just been fantastic compared to last year. He's just incredible the season he's had. And so until somebody stops him, I just can't see it.
Agreed. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back, Sammy. Hey, make sure you keep listening because after the break, we'll have our Beez Trees Trivia right here on the Behind the Mic Show.
Beez Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Beez Trees today at 217-260-4551.
It's Behind the Mic Show Trivia Time, presented by Beez Trees.
It's Beez Trees Trivia Time, Sammy. You know what that sound means? It means we're going to give away a prize pack to someone this week and give our new trivia question. Thanks to our good sponsor, Beez Trees, for it. And, Sammy, do you know how many people we had that liked the page, shared the show, and answered the trivia question last week?
Friggin' zero.
People, come on. It's that easy.
I mean, we're giving you a free shirt, hat, cup, and all you had to do was share the page, like it, all that, and nobody did it.
None.
I mean, it's like we're asking them to do friggin' push-ups or something. It's like, come on. It's a one click, or a couple clicks, God forbid, and nobody. Not a soul till you finally shared it on Facebook that people started answering. Then it's like, good God. So, so we tried something and we failed.
It's not the first time. Hey, but we did get some right answers on our Facebook page.
Okay.
The trivia question, we'll remind everybody from last week, was who was the first golfer to earn $1 million in total earnings in a single year? Single year is the key term there. It was Curtis Strange. Now, Arnold Palmer was the first to do it for a career, but Curtis Strange the first to do it in a single year. And we had some right answers. The winner of this week is Scott Fahey. So Scotty Too Hottie will get himself a weekend Behind the Mic Show weekend prize pack. So Scotty, I'll get in touch with you, and thanks for playing along and everybody. So Sammy, I'm going to let you give this week's Beez Trees Trivia.
Oh, thank you for the honor. Well, I have one little NBA trivia. So here we go. And once again, I guess we can't do the share the page because that doesn't work. So whoever answers first on Facebook, whenever you post this. But
well, if we get multiple answers, we'll draw out of a hat like we did this week.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Who was the only person in NBA history to be named Most Valuable Player, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year?
Oh, that's a tough one.
The only person in NBA history to be named Most Valuable Player, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good
It
one.
is.
Well, we'll
That's what she said.
remember, to answer, you have to like our page. Just share the episode. You don't have to put anything with it. Just share the episode. That's all we ask.
I swear
And
to
then
God.
message us with an answer.
Mm-hmm. That's
We'll
right.
post it. We'll post it. We like to give everybody a chance to who listens to post first.
Right.
So then we'll post it on Monday and the question. And if we don't have anybody who listens to the show and likes the page and shares the show, then we'll open it up there.
And that's what we were trying to do, Keith, is reward our listeners, who
Right.
are our loyal listeners, and all they had to do was share it and get back to us, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it, Keith Gibson. So what can we do? You know?
Got a couple text messages about it.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Anyway, we thank Beez Trees. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll close the show out with some miscellaneous sports items and wrap things up here on the Behind the Mic show from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill.
Ford of Tuscola has a large lot full of new and pre-owned vehicles. Check out their great financing, friendly staff, and professional service center. To help you get the most from your next vehicle, make the short drive to Tuscola and find a great deal on your next car or truck.
Back here on the Behind the Mic show, we close things out. Keith Gibson, Sam, Erwin, and Sammy. We've had a controversial things to talk about on the show tonight. A lot of controversy, but a lot of fun things to talk about. What makes people think and have their opinions, I'm sure. But let's talk about. We'll close the show a little bit. MLB free agency.
Okay.
Steven Strasburg, Sam, signed a 7-year, $245 million contract.
Good God.
That will
work
pay
every-
him
to
until
work
he's
one-
36 years old.
And to work what?
Every fifth
4
day.
days? Every fifth day, you know, it's like, good God. That's a lot of money. And I know he's
Sam?
good, but
Sam?
as we talked about, he's
Let's
injured
do
a
some
lot.
math. Let's do some math, Sammy.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. What is 7 divided by 245?
Let's see, 321, 35. So what, he's making what,
Hold on,
35
where's
million,
Linda?
35 million a year?
$35 million a year. You know how many average starts a starting pitcher makes a year, Sam?
Oh God, maybe what, 20, 25,
30.
30, okay, yeah.
He's
So he's
making
making
more than
over-
$1 million a start, Sam.
A start, whether he wins or loses. Good God. Wow.
Sammy, I'm a big baseball fan, but this is getting out of hand. This is getting out of hand.
Yep.
Garrett Cole now, who's also a free agent. Now that Strasburg's off the board, Yankees are after him, a few teams after him. He will get in excess of $300 million.
Yep.
$300 million.
It's to work 5 times a month.
Yeah, Sammy, his elbow could go at any time.
Oh, any of these, and Strasburg has proven that he has some injury issues. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. But
Sammy,
they're
it's
throwing
got
that
to
money around.
stop eventually. And for these people to say that Major League Baseball owners aren't making money, and things are tight, like Theo Epstein saying things are tight, we're going to have to cut payroll. Give me a flipping break.
Yeah, it's a load of crap because as you know, as a Cub,
Cubs are shopping Chris Bryant around.
Of all people, they're shopping Chris Bryant around. Are you kidding me?
They're trying to sign Javi long term and shopping Chris Bryant. And I don't know. I don't know what Theo's doing. Theo may have lost it. I don't know.
Wow.
But, MLB free agency heating up. Winter meetings were this week, and
hot stove, right?
That's right. A hot stove.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows on MLB Network with old Matt Vasgersian and Harold Reynolds. But it should be a lot of interesting things, a lot of pieces on the move, going in and out of different cities. That's what she said. Also another note we want to touch base on: the Illini basketball team has played Miami and lost in the last 5 seconds on a charge call, and then played Maryland on Saturday and lost in the last 2.1 seconds on a defensive foul, and Maryland shot free throws to win the game. Sammy, they're a good team. They're not a great team. I think they're improving. They're going to have to learn how to win.
Well, they're a very young team too, right?
Right, yes. But I think there's still a lot of optimism here in Champaign. I think they're improving. Some people are already calling for Underwood's head, and those guys are ridiculous.
Morons.
I actually think they're better on the floor without Io on the floor.
Mm.
So I think he gives them a dynamic when he's on the floor, but they don't have that person to take over. And Kofi Coburn is all that in a bag of chips, named Freshman of the Week again for the third time already.
Wow.
Averaging almost a double-double. The kids,
So they need to feed him more, sounds
right.
like.
Yeah. Like Ryback, feed me more.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, 2 losses that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
So it'll be.
But they were close.
They were
close.
They were down
to,
27 to Miami and came back and just couldn't pull it out. And then Maryland, they led the entire way. Maryland led 3-2, and then Illinois led the rest of the way until the final 2.1 seconds.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Here's my problem with both. Hold on. Here's my problem with both the calls, though. And I watched both games.
Mm-hmm.
When you're under 5 seconds to go, ref, choke on it. You're not using the
right.
whistle.
Right.
And in the Maryland game, it was a loose ball, and they called a foul on Illinois. You just either call a jump ball or let them play it out.
You can't make those kind of calls. And I could just hear J.R. Monacle just losing his mind watching those games when it's that close like that. But let me ask you something. Do you think that'll be beneficial for Illinois down the road come Big Ten tournament time, come NCAA tournament time, if they make it? You know, those tight games, and they'll start to turn their way. I mean, you can't keep losing tight games like that. Eventually things are going to start working out. And it gives those young kids more time to gel. It's a long season.
It is.
So,
it is.
you know,
So, yeah. I think it'll be beneficial down the road. Speaking of last week, we kind of touched base on it. I didn't go in detail with it last week because we were running out of time, keeping things a little short. But I did visit the AEW was in town last Wednesday, as we know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I went to the show. Had a great time. I did. And that's pretty much all I said about it last week. But I want to go into a little bit more detail, if you don't mind, just for a couple minutes, Sammy.
Indulge me. Yeah.
AEW will not be around more than 2-3 years.
Oh,
Sammy, it was not very apparently it beat NXT in ratings, but that show was awful. As a wrestling fan who have been around, and I wrote about my experience on cheapseatsbar.com, which you can go check out and read my review.
Great write-up. I read that. Yes,
Thank
I thought
you.
it was great.
It was not good. As a wrestling fan, it was okay because I was there with my dad and my sister and Tiny Tim, and we had a good time that way. But the show production was not good. There's no storylines. There's no real. I mean, there's just nothing there. The seats were half. The C section was pretty much empty. What you can't see on TV is the side of the camera shooting from was half empty. They can't fill. Like when you can't sell out State Farm Center for a live show on a major network, you have issues.
I was gonna say we were in a bigger crowd when WWE had a house show a couple years ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so, I hate to say this, but I just don't see it lasting unless they, somebody made a good point on Facebook when I put up the article of it's their thin roster. We'll go get people.
I was going to say, go out and get some more indie people. Try to get you some free agents from WWE as they
Quit putting 13-year-olds on your wrestling card.
Right. Quit putting a guy on your wrestling card to wrestle with his hands in his pockets. Just stupid things like that. I mean, that's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. I watched a lot of bad wrestling, and that's terrible. And that kid.
Sam, we've watched a lot of wrestling. We've watched a lot of wrestling together. I've seen better independent shows than I saw last Wednesday.
Oh, that's not good. And they had all the pomp and circumstance. A lot of followers, and I almost start to wonder: are people not just watching it just to stick it to WWE a little bit? That's only going to last so long because the product's not very good.
Right?
How long is it going to last?
Well, and here's the other thing I noticed, and this is I told this to my dad and told this to my sister. It was a different type of crowd. There wasn't a lot of kids there. It was older adults. Guys who were hoping to, I don't know, it was just
get laid for the first time of their life.
Maybe. But it was a different crowd, a lot more language.
Okay.
Of course, $9 beers at State Farm Center, $9 beers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. $8 pretzels. Of course, I paid for them. But
right, you gotta have a beer and pretzel, yeah.
Right. But no, I wasn't impressed with the show whatsoever. I haven't been impressed with AEW yet. Some people are. I know Narge, who we had on the show before, Champs and Chumps. Which we had on here. He's a big wrestling fan. He enjoys AEW. I just don't. I don't get it. Until you give me some storylines and something to move forward with, then we'll go from there. But anyway, that's my take on that. But anyway, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll finish up the show. And and give our final thoughts and what to watch for this week here on the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill.
This is Downtown Bosco, the world heavyweight champion, and now back to the Behind the Mic Show.
Back here from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grills, we are every week. It is the Behind the Mic Show. I am Keith Gibson alongside Sam Erwin, if you haven't figured that out yet. Hey, Sammy, great show today. We talked a lot of great things. We talked about the SI Sportsperson of the Year. We talked about company bonuses. So it gives a lot of people things to think about. The NFL 100 running backs announced and how that was hot garbage. Dutchy.
Old Dutchy.
Jiminy Christmas. I can't get over that. Michael Vick named a Pro Bowl legend as he'll be, and then we talked playoffs there, talked NCAA football and what's going on with the college football playoffs, some bowls coming up. And then, of course, we had our trivia. You don't forget to do our trivia, you know. It's not hard, people.
That's what she said.
Oh, hey. Set it up on a golden platter there for you. But,
we talked
show
about
today.
a lot of things, yeah.
So I thought we'd start a thing as we close the show as a final thought. Give you like a minute just to give your final thoughts on whatever subject you wanted to today. How's that sound? And I'll give mine as well.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't you go ahead?
I'll give my final thought. Here's my final thought for the week. No matter what you have in your life, whether it's good, bad, no matter where you're going, this holiday season, make sure you thank somebody who's working. Because they may want to be with their families, but they're being forced to work and may not be getting bonuses. So they're working their tail ends off just to make ends meet. So thank somebody randomly. Be nice. You know, if somebody cuts you off on the road, be nice. Somebody calls your mother a name, be nice. Just be nice this Christmas. And remember that you can buy hats and shirts at cheapseatsbar.com. Be nice.
As a gift, absolutely.
Right.
What nicer thing to do, yeah.
Right. No, but that's my final thought. Just be nice.
That's nice, yeah. And, you know, these controversies, my final thought is these controversies that we talked about, and I saw the feedback on Facebook, I just hope one day that we get to see down the road that even though somebody's different from you, it's okay. You don't have to judge them. You don't have to talk them down just because they have, you know, a different view than you or they live their life a different way or whatever. Because at the end of the day, man, we all end up in the ground one way or another. So who says you're better than me or I'm better than you or, oh, my God, she's a lesbian or, oh, my God, you know, this, that, or the other. You know what? Mind your own damn business and worry about your own yard for a while. Do that. And then, as you said, the rest of the time, try to be nice to some people for every now and then. And before you know it, maybe the world's a better place because, you know, and we talked about this a little bit, but the stuff that you see on TV, it's all about division. Divide, divide, divide. Because we as a people, if you keep us divided, it's a lot easier to control. But if we're all together going in the same direction, not as easy to control. So if everybody started to kind of work together on things and accepted the differences that everybody has, the friggin' world might be a better place instead of an absolute. That's my final thought for the day.
I like your final thought. I like your final thought. Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap things up here. Thanks to our wonderful sponsors, Ford of Tuscola, for, of course, our presenting sponsor each and every week here on the show. Remember, if you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle, go down and visit the great guys, Doug, Bob, Barnesy down there, Ryan Barnes, Nick, Jenny, all those guys great down there. New pre-owned vehicle. They give great deals. Sam and I bought ours from there. And, visit FordofTuscola.com or give them a call. You can also have a great sponsor, Back to Action Chiropractic, both Flora and Salem, Dr. Kate Burmeister and her staff at each location. We appreciate them. Lisa Erbacher, if you need an auto, home, or life insurance, give Lisa a call. I guarantee you she can help you out, and she's hometown, and there's nothing better than that, and she does great for the community, which I saw. By the way, congratulations to Lisa, Sam. She was awarded by her company, by Country Financial, for the work she does in town.
Outstanding, as she damn well should. And once again, isn't it nice when a company rewards their hardworking clients?
Thank you for picking up on where I was going with that.
Yeah, isn't that neat? So yeah, that's really cool. And congrats to her. She's definitely earned it. She puts a lot of thought and effort into it. And it would be. And once again, people, look what she's doing for your town. Right. Go by there and reward her for what she does. She gives to you, give back to her. Give and take. Right. Isn't that hard to do?
Right, and thanks to Beez Trees, because, Sammy, we haven't got this in all week, so we got to get it in now. Why should everybody visit Beez Trees?
Well, as we know, Keith, It's very important to keep things, your landscaping as a man or woman, keep things trimmed up, keep them looking nice. And as we know, if you keep your bushes trimmed, makes your deck look bigger. The wife definitely appreciates that. I know that Lori said that to me more than once about you, that you always do your best to keep your deck looking bigger. I know it's a struggle, but you do it by keeping things trimmed back.
I need every advantage I can, Sam Erwin.
That's right. So it's important that you do that. I know she appreciates it. So yeah, man, woman out there, keep your bushes trimmed up. Makes everything else look a lot bigger and better.
Right. Yeah, we got called Beez Trees. Greg Miller, great guy. Thanks for his sponsorship of the trivia. And thank you for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with episode 32. And remember, like the page, share the episode. Just give us an answer. We don't care if it's text, whatever. Just do it. Somebody has to do it this week. Just to appease us.
Just to make us smile for, why not, right? So,
all right, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. For my co-host, Sam Erwin, I am Keith Gibson. This has been the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.